Hey, what's up, guys? True Rhino here. I was going to go ahead and give you a quick rundown of the Arhaul Zip now that I've actually been able to use it for a few different trips and for a few different purposes. Just kind of tell you the things that I have enjoyed, things that I initially were a little leery about, and just some of the features that it has. So I'm here in my garage. I've got it right now filled with just a bunch of random stuff just to make it fill, or just get it filled out. It's my daughter's little car there. And so really I'm just going to go through some of the things that it has and some of the features, like why my trekking pole is sticking out here on the side. And I'll show you why in just a moment. To start, I'll just kind of go over with what it has on the outside. So mine, it does have the Dyneema straps on the bottom. I call them straps even though they're really just the Dyneema cord. These things are great. They can pull out plenty large, so I'm able to normally strap my stool down here, but it's also big enough if I had extra insulation or anything I needed, I could throw it down there. It's got the large side pockets. Normally people use these for water bottles. I'm able to fit both of my smart water bottles in one pocket, so that works out wonderfully for me. Leaves the other one open here, one on both sides, as well as these little pockets on the sides. They're mesh here, which initially, as I went on that first hike at Gifford, you're really going through lots of thorns and vines and all kinds of stuff that are catching on everything. So I was a little worried about how these would hold up. They've proven to do just fine on multiple trips. And also what's nice is this is big enough to fit my entire cook set. Even if I use my larger boiler pot and bring my cast iron, it all fits in here. So I've got one on each side as well. They just have the bungee along the top, which works well. And the great thing is if I don't need them, I can just pull the little tabs off and take it off the side. Here we've got the big difference between this and the regular Arhaul is that it doesn't have a mesh pocket. I didn't like to have a giant mesh pocket on the outside, so it has another Dyneema pocket. This is plenty big. This is where I get my things I might need to get to quickly, my first aid kit, and just some other things, or if I know that I'll be setting up fairly quickly, or maybe I'm not going to be hiking too long, I'll actually put my hammock on top of here, so I don't have to go into the main pocket. And then the main pocket, it does have this Velcro on the top. I don't know what kind it is. It's great because it's not the kind of Velcro that sticks to everything, but it does help when you're trying to roll it up. You can roll the top down, and then it has, where is it at? It is. It's got the buckles here, so you can actually cinch down both sides, or you can just roll it up and then cinch it back on itself. Depends how much room you need or how much compression you want, The greatest part about this bag for me is the fact that the main pocket can also be accessed from this other zipper. So I can pack it from the top and really get good compression, get my stuff packed in really well. And then when I get to camp, I can fold that pocket forward, and there I've got access to all my stuff. So let's say I've got my hammock here or something, I can just grab my hammock out and the strap holds the rest of my stuff in. Or, like I did the last trip, when I got ready to come home, my stuff was just slightly damp, so I wanted my lazy slug tubes to wrap everything up in. So I literally had all my insulation still in the hammock, pulled it into my slug tubes, and then packed my small stuff in the bottom, and then I just unrolled the top, shoved my lazy slug tubes and all my insulation right on top, and just rolled it down and buckled it, and it was all nice and tight and ready to go. And while we're in the main pocket, open that up the rest of the way, show you in here. This is an area that has lots of seams and things that are attached to the back of the bag, and what's great is you can tell it's got all the seam sealing done on the inside. Everywhere there's a seam, it's seam sealed all the way around. And here what's nice is there's a detachable little bag. This is where I put my keys and wallet, things that I won't need the entire trip. Stick them in here. That way I know where they are the entire trip. They're not, possibly in another pouch or pocket with something else that I might grab and then lose my keys or my wallet. And like I said, this is all accessible from both ways. So I can pack it multiple ways, and it helps just kind of get myself organized with how I might need to get things. And flip it on over. It does have the nice mesh back here, which you can tighten and loosen. So if I flip this over, you can see that there's a nice air gap in here. So when this is packed up fairly tight, there won't be quite as big of a gap because whatever you pack in here is kind of pushing against that. But it's got a little bit of an air gap. I don't know if you can see that. Just a little bit. Well, that's enough when that breeze comes that I can feel it in between my pack and my back. But it does have a nice enough air gap that it's holding the air out, or excuse me, letting the air through, and it does help keep my back cooler because I sweat quite a bit on my back when I'm hiking normally, so that helps a ton. I do have little pockets on each of the straps. This has been great for me where my hip belt sits. It's right above my pocket on my pants, and it makes it hard to get my phone in and out, which sometimes I use that for my Gaia GPS app and things like that. So it's great. I can have my phone in one, and then the other one, I just keep the pack cover in there in case I need it. And then in the other pocket, since you can cinch it shut, that's where I keep my compass, or last time I brought another camera just in case. So I keep those in there. And then on the hip belt, it does have 2 hip belt pockets. These are nice and big. So one of them, I always have my, my, not toiletries, but my stuff for using the restroom in one, so I get to it easily. And then most of the time on the other ones, this would actually be where I would keep my snacks in my left one, and where I used to keep my phone until I decided to keep it up here. And all the pockets and things in here are Dyneema. They work out great. Another initial kind of worry that I had was all the straps for everything are fairly narrow compared to my cheapo bag. My cheap bag's straps were probably twice as wide, at least I'd say. And so I had a little initial concern with when you're pulling it through all the different buckles and things of having it roll over on itself, and that hasn't seemed to be an issue at all. It's got the normal load lifters and all that stuff. And it is very strong. You can see here's that little loop for like hanging onto it or hanging it, and that's how I always hang my bag when I get to camp. I don't clip it on my ridge line of my hammock or set it on the ground. I always take an extra Atlas strap with me, and that is what I used to go around a tree, and then I hang it from a carabiner on the tree. And that's where I was worried about this mesh as well. So this sub's right up against the tree the whole time I'm camping. So this could be, up against the bark and kind of swinging around if there's a big wind, but there hasn't been any issues with it yet so far. So as I mentioned, it has these Dyneema straps on the bottom. They're in a great location. They're not on the bottom technically, so that's great. I can still set the pack on the ground if I need to, and then whatever I have hanging here is actually hanging on the side. Like I said, they're plenty large for anything I might need to put in there. The side pockets, which mainly are used for my bottles and stuff, they do have a nice little weep hole down here, so if it gets wet, it can drain out. And everything, as I mentioned earlier, can be taken off. So these side little mesh bags, if I want to, I can just take this thing, pull it through, take the whole thing off, and we're good to go. And like I said, everything in here, you can see all the seam sealing. Everywhere there's any seams, that goes all the way up here. And a little bit closer look for the arc system. We have this rod here that runs up, and it is embedded inside this little pocket right here. It has a V top strap. Sometimes they come with just the single one. Mine has the V, and it's great. You'll see in a little part. My little Croc shoes for just wandering around camp, not my hiking shoes, were all muddy from the trip, so I just wrapped them up and just stuck them on top, and this just buckles over the top of the bag. One other thing I want to point out is the hip belt. This thing is amazing. I have a really cheap bag that I used before, and this one you can see the single strap or buckle, excuse me, goes into double straps. So I'm actually able to pull the top or the bottom a little bit tighter than the other, and that really helps cinch down. I can definitely tell that it's transferring a lot more weight to my hips than my old bag, and that's phenomenal for me. I had some back problems in the past, so having that extra weight is off my back is great, and I'm not the skinniest person in the world, so it's nice that I can maybe adjust the bottom one slightly tighter because I'm not very skinny, so it does seem to fit just that much better. So along the side, they've got the mesh pocket, the drink pocket, and they also have Dyneema cord that runs in a zigzag along the side. So if I needed to, I could actually run my stool back behind here, stick the bottom into the drink pocket, and have it run behind this pocket, or say my trekking poles. So for example, and so now my trekking pole actually sits inside the drink pocket, behind this pocket, and then you can tighten up the Dyneema cord and cinch it against the side. So that'll be another way to transfer something that that might be a little bit longer or just a little more awkward instead of strapping to the side or the bottom, excuse me. Yeah, just overall, it's a great bag. Extremely comfortable. And like I said, I really don't have anything that has come up that's made me say, oh yeah, I really wish it had this, or I wish it didn't do this. It's served me well so far, and I'm sure it'll continue to serve me very well into the future. Thanks for watching.